In this video, we are going to have a look at a pattern in JavaScript called constructor function. Constructor function is not something new, but it's a normal function only, but but in a different way that function is used. For example, normal function we have already seen something like this, right? But you can use that function rather than simply calling that function. You can put a new keyword in front of that, and then you can see that the behavior is completely different, and this new behavior uh, creates a new object rather than simply the return value of this function. And this this pattern of a function which creates a new object, this pattern is called a constructor function. Let's simply see that, then it will be more clear. So let's say some normal function is there, and that function is, let's say person, right? And that person, you are just you're just, let's say, returning, not returning anything. Let's say you're not doing anything. Let's say you're not doing anything. Okay, that is more simple. Let's say p is equal to, let's say you are simply calling that right now, rather than new, you are just simply calling it, and then you are printing the output p. You'll see that you're getting undefined. That is expected, right? Because you did not return anything from here, right? But if you write something like new, then you see that it creates an object named person, and that object is empty object. Okay, so this is like somewhat different, right? That whatever you are returning, that is not happening, it is creating a new object. Turns out that this is a new syntax where what happens that whatever you so so when a function is used as a constructor, like when the new keyword is used, then the this inside it is bound to a new object being constructed, right? And right now we have not modified that, and that this, right? And that's why we did not do anything to the returned object. The returned object is just an empty object, right? But if we start modifying it, so let's say this x is equal to 5, then you can see that when I run this now, then I will get x5. You can clearly see that whatever modifications I do to this is actually modified to the returned object. Again, this is like only for constructor functions. You can see for normal functions, this is just normal return value. But when you do something like this, then you understand, right? If this thing is not there, then what is this? This thing is like whatever a function is called from global context, so this will be like global context. That's in that sense this will be used. But if you use new, then this will be used in the context where a new object is being created, which is denoted by this, and whatever modifications you do to this, those are the modifications will be those modifications will be applied to the object which is being created. Okay, so this is how it is working, and it is generally considered a good practice to name the constructor functions in Pascal case. Pascal case means it should camel case is something like this: person, or like something like my person. Okay, but Pascal case is like the camel case, the first one is also capital. Okay, so my person or simply person, one letter is there, then it will be person, right? But it doesn't matter, right? If you simply use p, small p also, like now normal camel case also, then also it works perfectly, right? So it's just a convention that if you use capital P, then it is like just an indication to the other developers who are reading your code, is that you intend this function to be used as constructor function rather than a normal function, which means that you are going to use a new keyword in order to call it. So that is just a convention. Okay, so that is fine. Now now it's just that we can also pass arguments here, right? So for example, we can pass a b here, and then we can take that a b here, and then we can assign that whatever a is I am assigning here, and whatever b is there I am assigning here, right? I can do that. And a b I have to pass some values here, right? So let's say 10, let's say 20. Now you can see that whatever I am passing, those things are attached. And again, this is can be in any order, it does not matter, y first, x second. Okay, so you can see that the ordering might change, but again in objects ordering does not matter, right? Because you can't even assume that it is guaranteed that there is some ordering in the keys, right? There is no ordering. It's just that those key value pairs are present, and if you want you can access them. Okay, now that is fine, but the idea is that you can do anything, right? So string you pass, then y is you are passing Ola, so it's Ola, yeah. And again if you pass anything else which is like not used, anything which is used but you have not passed, it will be undefined. Okay, b is undefined, and that's why y is undefined. Okay, so those things are normal. So you can also return some other object from the constructor function. Okay, by default if nothing is returned, then this is written. By default if nothing is returned, then this is the object, which you are constructing, that thing is returned, right? So you understand that so let's say 100 hello is there, whatever. Now if you are not returning anything, then whatever is this, means this and return this, both are equivalent, right? But if you don't return but if you don't return anything, that's fine. But if you return something which is another, which is some different object, then things get problematic. Let's say you return now foo bar. Now turns out that now whatever you return, that is the output of the constructor function, which means that in this case, whether you do something like this or this, both are same, but it will not be always be the same, because let's say I do something like dot 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 slash this slash, and you can see that right now like this is like trying to take that global thing and something like this, right? But if I do something like this new, then you can see that that whatever x y was there, and this foo is just added. So still you cannot say that both are same. It's just that this behavior will be still different. It's just that in case of constructor function, if you are returning something, then this will be in that context only an object which is tried to be constructed, but at the end whatever you are returning, that is the final value which will be returned. That is just the difference. And after that, like you can do anything. Let's say you are not using this at all, or you are using some this, or you are using this and then mixing it with, let's say, a foo should be a. In that case you can see that your foo is 10, same as x, kind of thing. But the idea is that whatever you are returning, that thing is going to be my answer. Doesn't matter whether you are using this, you are using arguments or not. If the returned thing is a function of this, or return thing is a function of arguments, and all those things will be inculcated, that is fine. But the idea is that whatever is whatever is the final constructed value which is returned at the end, that is the output of new constructor function called. Next, object constructor function can be considered as a blueprint, right? Why we are doing something like this? Why we are doing something like this? We are doing something like this so that we can create a shape or a structure for multiple objects to be created with the same shape or structure. So, for example, if we have, let's say, name and age, then I can set like name and age, right? And then if I pass let's say anything what you pass, that thing is going to be, you can see that it doesn't matter. The thing is that so let's say right earlier we passed this as string, right? There's no way to detect that whether it should be string or number, but let's say this time we passed as number, right? So yeah, so whatever you pass, that thing is getting passed here, and that will be assigned. But the main thing is that this whole thing can be applied multiple times. So for example, p1, p2, p3, so John, Jane, Alex, anything. So you understand that p1, p2, p3, these are like all objects are created from the same shape or same structure, right? So if you want to change the shape at one place, then every place it will be changed. For example, instead of name, if I simply do first name, I change the shape in the blueprint, then everywhere it is changed. So that is generally the purpose of constructor functions. Okay. So yeah, the same thing, and again whatever arguments you are using in any way, that is fine. And again all the examples which we are discussing just now, they are like primitive values. One more thing I forgot to tell you, that when we were discussing about return statement, so for example, in this case, let's say we are returning foo 10, okay, then everything will be foo 10, because yeah, I'm not using this, right? That is fine. But what if I, instead of foo 10, I return 10? Will everything will be 10 10 10? Turns out it is not. You can see that still I'm returning 10, but I'm not getting 10. So what happens is that I don't know, like this thing is like this thing you should not rely on this behavior, but I'm just saying that if you get by mistake you type something like this, then this might be helpful. The idea is that if you return some primitive value, any primitive value, then it is ignored. You can see that true false is a primitive value, strings, numbers, these are primitive values, right? Any numbers is a decimal primitive value. So you can understand that everything is ignored. However, if you return some object, then it is considered. Not only that, if you return let's say an object, let's say new string hello. Now this thing is an object, and that's why that thing is still considered. But if this thing is simply a primitive, then it is ignored, and whatever this thing is coming, that is considered. Okay. So yeah, So yeah, I was just discussing that we discussed earlier only, that the return value is considered here, but that is not applicable for primitive type. That is only applicable for non-primitive types or object types, right? Even if you return something like some function, let's see, you can see that then also it is fine, because yeah, it is a function, but that is fine. It is not a primitive type. Let's say you return 1 2 3, then you can see that this is also fine. So, but if this is simple primitive type, then it is undefined, then it is not yeah, so undefined is also a primitive type, but undefined, null, these will be also ignored. It's like undefined, null, or this, understand? So this will be obviously returning, it is like by default that this is returned, but undefined and null, those things are also like primitive types, right? So any primitive type will be simply ignored, doesn't matter, that is fine. Now we were discussing something else, that apart from this, we always discussed for some attributes, but apart from this can also have some functions. So like say some calculate function, right? And then uh, calculate something. So that something can be like let's say you and let's use a normal function, because I want to use this of this function. If I use arrow function, then I cannot use that, right? Why I want to use this? Because let's say I'm trying to calculate that uh, I'm trying to calculate that let's say the age is not the absolute age, but let's say the age is the relative age with respect to year 2000, right? Which means that if 10, 12, 13 or 11, something like this is there, which means that uh, I'm just saying that you can return anything. I'm just saying that you want to return 2010 plus this dot age. That is fine. What does it mean? Let's say it is nonsense. That is fine. But just I'm saying that you can do something like this, which means that now obviously P1 P2 is there, but apart from P1 P2 P3, you can also call P1 P2 P3 dot calc, and this is a function, right? So you can call it. If you call it, then you will see that yeah, 2010 plus that person's this age variable is 11. 2010 plus 11 is 2021. That thing is returned, which means that yeah, those things other things which work on normal objects, they work here also. And again, let's say this example is like x y is there, and that let's say some other point is passed, and then you are taking the x coordinates, y coordinates, and then you are doing x square plus y square under root, which means that essentially you are trying to calculate the Cartesian distance between 2 points. So you can create one point, you can create second point, and then you can do something like p2 dot distance p1 or p1 dot distance p2, anything you can do. And when you do that, then you will be able to find the distance between p1 and p2. In this case it will be like one side, this case it will be like 3 square plus 4 square under root, which will be 5. So yeah, so in that manner, just an example to show you that it can be pretty much anything. It can be functions, it can be arrays, or anything what you want to put here, that is perfectly acceptable. So that will be all for constructor function. Let's see you in the next one.